I was a huge defender of Bryce Young over the course of this offseason. I was expecting him to take a massive leap year two with Dave Canales as his new head coach. And I'm going to just come out right now. I have no problem admitting this, but I was dead wrong about Bryce Young. Everything that the haters and the doubters were saying about Bryce Young have been true. This dude is a bust. And he may be the biggest bust in NFL history. Bryce Young literally may be worse than Jamarcus Russell. And you can't make no more excuses for him this year because although the Carolina Panthers are trash, Bryce Young isn't part of the solution. He's part of the problem. When I was seeing people on X defend Bryce Young, they were saying the offensive line wasn't good. Listen, there were throws that Bryce Young should have made when he had guys like Adam Thielen, Deontay Johnson wide open in the middle of the field, but instead he overlooks them, he bails out of the pocket, and he gets smashed. A lot of the sacks that Bryce Young took today against the Chargers were on him. Like, this dude just has no awareness at all. When you watch him play, he's running into his own offensive lineman. When he gets outside the pocket, he's not throwing the football out of bounds. He's just taking big hits. It looks like he has no idea what the hell he's doing back there. And I get that the Chargers are a really good team. And I understand that the Carolina Panthers are probably the worst team in the NFL. But what a lot of people overlook is that when you get drafted number one overall, you are expected to be able to elevate a bad organization. You are expected to be able to overcome certain limitations. So certain things that you may excuse out of a guy like Bo Nix that wasn't drafted in the top 10, you kind of hold a guy like Bryce Young to a different standard, especially when you look at how well CJ Stroud has played. And a lot of y'all are going to say that I'm switching up on Bryce. I'm not really switching up. I've seen enough to know that this dude can't play at the NFL level. He had 34 yards passing at halftime. The way the Carolina Panthers opened up this game against the Chargers screamed to me they were scared to ask Bryce Young to throw the football because all they did was run, and pass on third down. And when they did throw the football, they were only asking him to throw 2 and 5 yard passes. And the only time they really did ask Bryce Young to push the football downfield, he threw an interception in the middle of the field, the same way that we saw him throw those 2 interceptions week 1 against the New Orleans Saints. This dude just cannot throw in the middle of the field. I don't know what it is. His size definitely is a factor, but he can't see anything in the middle of the field. That's where he's at his worst. And he doesn't have the arm strength to push the football downfield neither. And I know you guys are going to say you're switching up on Bryce, but there's no way you can watch what I saw against the Chargers today and not tell me that you're not concerned. Like, I promise to God, right hand on the Bible, there was a pass that Bryce Young made when he literally had to jump to complete the pass. I was like, no way, Bryce. You're just out there doing things at this point. I promise to God, it's like Bryce Young is just out there just trying to do whatever he can to complete a pass. And, on the sidelines, Adam Thielen was frustrated. Deontay Johnson was frustrated. Like, you can tell that this team is starting to realize that Bryce Young ain't it. And the fans were booing him as they should because he looked terrible. When you get drafted to a bad organization as the number one overall pick, you're supposed to elevate them. You're supposed to be able to overcome certain limitations. And Bryce Young does have a decent group of wide receivers. There were guys that were open. You can say the offensive line did a bad job of handling the blitz, but it's Bryce Young's job to see the blitz coming before the play and get the ball out fast. He hasn't been able to do that. This dude just has no awareness. And I feel like the Panthers, based off how bad his rookie season went, they ruined all his confidence. I see a Bryce Young that right now looks soulless. He doesn't have any faith in himself. He has no faith in the offensive line neither. And the team doesn't seem to have any faith in him. I don't care what they say and the post-game press conferences. Like Deontay Johnson, after the game, they were talking about Bryce Young. He said that's his guy. He believes in him. BS. It didn't look like they believe in him. I mean, just look at their body language on the field. There was a report that said that Bryce Young was trying to talk to Deontay Johnson on the sidelines, and he was getting ignored. You know, this locker room is starting to lose respect for Bryce Young because they know that this dude isn't the best quarterback on the team. They need to start Andy Dalton. Unless the Panthers' goal is to achieve the #1 overall pick this year, there's no reason to continue to start Bryce Young. But they're going to because of David Tepper. You see, people are coming at Dave Canales saying, how can you continue to start this dude? You're an awful head coach. It's not Dave Canales' decision to continue to play Bryce Young. It's David Tepper's. Last week, Dave Canales said that he had a meeting with David Tepper. And you know how that went. You know what we want to do to get the most out of Bryce Young. At this point, the most you can get out of Bryce Young is maybe a 7th-round pick at that if you trade him to a team like the Rams or somebody who believes that they can find a way to resurrect him and fix him, because right now this dude is broken. It seems like he can't do anything right. And as bad as what his situation is, there were plays that he could have made. You know, when he was at Alabama, he was great throwing the ball outside the pocket off script. There were several overthrows that he had to a wide open Deontay Johnson, open on the corner of the sidelines. He completely sells the ball. You know, like, there are easy throws that Bryce Young can't even make. He can't even make the layup. And I know when I see a bad quarterback, because I saw 2 years of Kenny Pickett in Pittsburgh. He couldn't throw the football downfield, and the way Bryce Young was playing was a lot similar to how Kenny Pickett was playing. And as much as it pains me to say this, because I love Bryce Young, I have defended this dude relentlessly. We got to be honest about this dude, man. He's not good. And he may be the biggest bust in NFL history. Worse than Jamarcus Russell. He couldn't even get over 100 yards passing, for crying out loud. The dude throws every pass on his damn tippy toes, man. This dude's out there throwing jump passes. He was just out there trying to do things, man. It's like I felt bad seeing Bryce Young out there. After he threw that first interception, he looked like he was about to cry, and I was about to cry with him. And it's not just his fault. You know, because, look,